Today I'm going to talk about uh, septic arthritis. Arthritis. Arthritis is inflammation of a joint. Septic is there is an infection. It's an inflammation of a joint caused due to an infection. That, in other words, is septic arthritis. Now, in this playlist, I'm going to talk about a variety of topics to do with the general principles of orthopedic surgery. In my playlist, I'm going to talk about principles of fracture management. Principles of fracture management. Then I'm going to talk about osteoarthritis. Then about open fractures, the compartment syndrome, septic arthritis, which is the topic for today, osteomyelitis, and bone tumors. I know these are kind of a random topics, but these are very important topics in orthopedic surgery. For so now, I'm going to focus on these topics, and for today, I'm going to do septic arthritis. Okay. Now, septic arthritis. What is septic arthritis? Septic arthritis refers to what is septic arthritis? What is septic arthritis? Septic arthritis refers to the infection of a joint. It refers to an infection of a joint, and it is very important because whenever you see an inflammation of a joint, where a joint appears red, where there is erythema, and when the patient complains of pain, and where it looks swollen on inspection, what should come up top in our differential diagnosis is septic arthritis, because it is quite common and it can be treated. For any infection we give antibiotics, so it should be treated with antibiotics. Now, if it's an infection, the question is, what are the main causative organisms for the septic arthritis? What are the main causative organisms? So, in this short lecture, I'm going to talk about the main causative agents. Then I'm going to talk about how the infection comes to the joint, the means of spread. I call it the means of spread. Then also talk about the risk factors, then the clinical features, as well as the investigations that we do, and then I will wrap it off with the management. Okay, with management. Okay. Now, what is the main causative organism? What is the main causative organism for septic arthritis? By far, the most common, especially in adults, is Staphylococcus aureus, which is the most common in adults. Then we also have Streptococcus, which is less common, but it's still very common. Then there is two special categories of people, of the population, if the patient belongs to that category, we can say it's more likely due to a particular bacteria. If it's a sexually active patient, then it is more likely to be gonorrhea. Of course, it is sexually transmitted organism or infection. And if the patient suffers from sickle cell disease, then the organism is more likely to be Salmonella. So The most common is Staphylococcus aureus, less common is Streptococcus. If it's sexual active patient, the organism is most likely to be gonorrhea, and for sickle cell disease, it's Salmonella. Now, let's talk about the risk factors. The risk factors. Now, in what kind of a population, in what patient features we are more likely to suspect septic arthritis? The risk factors are age, obviously. If it's more than 80 years, then for various reasons we know that it's most likely to be inflammation caused due to an infection. Also with the age, diabetes mellitus also can be a risk factor, as well as immunosuppression. Obviously, when there's immunosuppression, there's more likely that infection will catch hold on to the tissues. Then if there is chronic renal failure, and when there is intravenous drug use, it's more likely for organisms to be introduced to the bloodstream and where a hematogenous route to be inoculated in the joint. Then, when there is any pre-existing joint disease, for example, rheumatoid arthritis, and when there is hip or knee joint or some joint prosthesis, that is also another risk factor. So the risk factors we can, in terms of age, diabetes mellitus, chronic renal failure, intravenous drug use, any pre-existing joint disease, or hip or joint prosthesis. Okay. Then we go on to the clinical features. Now in the clinical features, it can be divided into symptoms and signs. Symptoms are what the patient complains to you of, and signs are what you elicit from the patient by the observation of the knee, as well as general observation and inspection. So we go by the look, feel, move method, right? We start with inspection, then we feel, and then we move the joint actively and passively. And don't forget the general examination to check for other signs of infection, inflammation, also keeping a differential diagnosis in your mind. Okay, before that, let's go to the differential diagnosis, which I think is very important. The differential diagnosis for septic arthritis, that is, when a patient presents with a single painful swollen joint, what must come top of a differential diagnosis is septic arthritis. But there are other differences which we must consider. For example, it can be a flare of osteoarthritis. Or if there is trauma of the joint, then it can lead to hemarthrosis, which is blood collected in the joint cavity. Or it can be hemarthritis can also come from bleeding disorders, for example, bleeding disorders. Then it can be due to crystal arthropathies. Then rheumatoid arthritis also can be there in the differential diagnosis. Then we have reactive arthritis, as well as something which is rare except in places like certain places in tropical. We can give Lyme disease, which is the organisms for that is Borrelia burgdorferi. So what must come into your mind is it can be due to a flare of osteoarthritis. Can be a normal inflammation which is not an infection. Or it can be a hemarthrosis, bleeding in the joint cavity caused due to trauma or due to a pre-existing bleeding disorder. Or it can be crystal arthropathies, which is in the cases gout or pseudo-gout. Then it can be rheumatoid arthritis, it can be reactive arthritis, or it can be Lyme disease, which is spread by the organism Borrelia burgdorferi. Now, when we come to the clinical features, there is certain we can get from examinations as well as from the patient. Okay, when the patients normally usually presents with a single swollen joint with severe pain, and there can be plus or minus pyrexia. Pyrexia may or may not be present. Just because pyrexia is not present doesn't mean it is not due to an infection. And on examination, the joint will be red, swollen, and warm, which are the typical signs of inflammation. And effusion might be present. And functionally, we must always talk when you're examining. You must always not only the examination findings as well as the function also you should take in consideration. So there can be pain also can be there on active and passive movements, and the patient will complain of unable to weight bear or won't be able to weight bear, or it will be a rigid joint. Now always remember the septic arthritis can occur in both a native joint, which is a natural joint, or it can also occur in a prosthetic joint. And if it's a prosthetic joint, then the features are much more subtle than to a native joint. Now when we come to the investigations with septic arthritis, when our main differential diagnosis is septic arthritis, what should we investigate? Obviously, we should take routine bloods, and from routine bloods, we check the full blood count, CRP are compulsorily taken alongside ESR as well as urate levels. Why? Because we want to exclude the other differentials. Now, at the same time, it's also important to take blood culture and a joint aspiration, but these should be taken after antibiotics are given, unless the patient is severely septic. In that case, we can't delay the providing antibiotics, so we should give the antibiotics and take the blood culture and joint aspirate. Blood culture is important because from the culture we can get the sensitivity of the antibiotics, so we can convert our empirical drug therapy and empirical antibiotic therapy to more direct, to target the organism, so it will be faster here. And it's very important to remember that the joint aspiration, if it's taken from a prosthetic joint, it should be taken in an operative room because of the risk of ourselves inoculating, ourselves giving the infection. That's also very important. Okay. Now, in a joint aspiration, what do we see? Blood culture, we check antibiotic, the growth, as well as we check for growth and we check for antibiotic sensitivity. Now, for joint aspiration, what are the things we check for specifically when we're suspecting an infection? We check Gram-Stin, obviously that will be the bacteria. Then we also put fluid culture. Then we check leukocyte count, it will be high. Leukocyte count will be high, Gram-Stin will be, there will be a Gram-Stin like if it's positive or negative. And that we check polarizing microscopy to exclude some differences like gout. Okay. Now I forgot one main important topic here, which is how it is spread. How does the infection spread to the joint? How does it come to the joint? Now it can come it can come from the blood, in which case the point is it can come from bacteremia. When there is blood floating around the blood, then it will seed, the bacteria will seed into the joint. For example, this bacteremia can come from recent cellulitis, or it can come from UTI, or it can come from chest infections. Then it can be also come from direct inoculation, which direct inoculation, it can come. For example, if there is an open fracture and the wound is the joint is communicating with the outside, the organisms, the pathogenic organisms, the bacteria can direct inoculate. Now, when we do a surgery and we don't take proper precautions, we can inoculate the joint. Or it can spread from adjacent. It can spread from adjacent osteomyelitis. Osteomyelitis is osteo. Osteo is bone, myelin is bone marrow, lytis is inflammation. Osteomyelitis is when there's an infection of the bone and bone marrow, it can spread from that to the joint. Okay. Now what are the complications for? What are the complications of septic arthritis? Okay. What are the complications? If we don't treat septic arthritis and we just let it be, it can lead to two special main complications, which are osteoarthritis. It can lead to the inflammation of the joint. It can cause the degradation of the articular cartilage and leading to osteoarthritis. I will talk about osteoarthritis in another video. It can also lead to osteomyelitis. If the infection spreads to the bone and bone marrow, it can cause that. Early intervention and management will reduce the risk of developing these complications. That's why we should prevent this. Now, when I talk about the investigation, I talk about routine bloods, and I talk about blood culture, joint aspiration. Also, we can do some radio imaging. We can do some imaging. Okay? We can do a plain radiograph, which is commonly done, but further imaging is not commonly done. Further imaging like CT, MRI is not commonly done, but is very sensitive method in assessing joint damage. Typically used if there is an uncertainty in the diagnosis. But there is two specific cases where CT and MRI are usefully done. For the sternoclavicular joint and for the sacroiliac joint, whether to see whether it is extended. For example, the sternoclavicular joint, whether it is extended to the mediastinum, and for the sacroiliac joint, whether it is extended to the pelvis. And there is another thing which we can do is the radionuclide scan, which can be used to identify septic arthritis in isolated joints, such as the sacroiliac joint. Okay. The plain radiograph, which is like an X-ray, is often performed. While in early stages, no evidence of the disease may be present, but it may eventually progress to demonstrate capsular soft tissue swelling, as well as fat pad shift, and there can be joint space widening. It can be joint space widening. Okay? Joint space widening. Now let's come to the all important top section of management. Now see, obviously, if this patient comes in a very unstable septic kind of a picture, we have to resuscitate the patient while doing the investigations, like the routine blood culture, the routine blood counts, the routine bloods, then the blood culture, the joint aspiration, then later on we can do the plain radiograph. We do the blood culture and the joint aspiration before. We try to do it before antibiotics, but we do not delay antibiotics in case the patient is very septic. So resuscitation, we go by the ABCD, the protocol. Now, the main thing is antibiotic treatment. We start from empirical and we wait for the culture reports and then we go to direct. This is usually done long term, like often 4 to 6 weeks. But usually 2 weeks we give intravenous and we go to 4 to 6 weeks. Then it's also important, surgical also will be sometimes very important. We do irrigation and debridement. This is a washout in theatre. We do it in theatre even if it's a native joint to aid its source control. When the source is not well controlled, to aid the source control. Like for example, if the infection is spreading from an open wound, an open fracture to the joint, then we do washout. We do an irrigation and debridement, and then antibiotics. Okay. If the infection is within the prosthetic joint, wash out is still required, but revision surgery is also typically needed. So this all what we discussed for today, and please like, share and subscribe, and give me feedback if necessary. Give me feedback if you have any feedback. Thank you.